Hey guys, Jay Cross here. This is kind of a second review or another review of the Bigfoot Shaman. I've recently got it up to rank 6, so I'm kind of checking out his stats now. And basically gets a +5 on power, bravery, offense, and he gets a 45 boost to his hit points. So that goes up just a little bit. I've got several random battles here that I've recorded earlier. And almost all these have in common is that they have mainly soldier units on the front row. So the unit is better if it's fighting against soldier units. If you've got a whole barricade of tanks or things on the front row, or a lot of blocking units on the front row, then they're pretty much useless because they cannot get around the blocking units, and they have terrible armor piercing, so they can't cut through armor. And the type of damage is just doesn't do a lot of damage to units. But just against soldier units, they do really well with this shot. And when they're in a row like this, they can cover much of the board. So you can see the only problem that I have when it comes down to it is these two guys here. I try to cut through their armor with this, and it just didn't do anything. It was terrible. So with one of my shaman almost dead, I go ahead and I use the raptor shot to take out those two guys. So that's pretty much the end of that battle. The next battle is if the airstrikes, if the ball strike is kind of like this, then it won't be too terrible because it has the planes and soldier units up front, which would make this unit effective if kind of this is the setup, because it can cut through the front row while hitting the planes and take out the units kind of quickly. But you don't know what's coming after it. So if this is just the first wave, and then the next wave it's a whole bunch of mega tanks on the front row, then you're going to have something else to cut through the armor of the mega tanks first, because these guys are not going to be helpful. So I wouldn't recommend having a wall of them on the front row. Maybe 2 of them to cover the board in case there are planes and you want to hit to the second row deep with planes. Nice unit to have. The mammoth complements these guys. I've noticed them two together do pretty well on, especially against the raiders. So there is that. Now we see with the silver wolves, I put some brutes on the front row just to cut through these units. And once you cut through the armor of a unit, the shaman do okay. I mean, they're not bad. It's just when the unit still has armor on it, they just really do not get a lot of hit points against that unit. It's very slow. But because this is the silver wolves, and this had a lot of, you see, it couldn't hit behind that wall. So that wall blocked that whole row. It just couldn't. It can't get back there because of that. So I mean, you can see. I like that it can get all the way to the back row. As long as there's no blocking units, it'll hit everything in that row. But it comes down to you got to have supplementary units to help. So now I'm just going to kind of cut through this wall here just to get this guy killed. So. And if I had a mega tank or something else, I could have torn that wall up a lot quicker, and it would have been no problem. But one shot with that shot can wipe that guy out effectively. Okay, this I just wanted to show you as an example. I'm not going to play this movie, but because it just goes so badly. Even freezing this front row, the guys just don't have the ability to do enough damage to make a difference. So I just put this video in there to show you what to avoid with those guys. And it does really well against these guys. So, I mean, it gets a lot of crits, and it does because a lot of these units, Raider units, such as these mammoth guys, and the guy on the Raptor, are considered critters. So, it does a high chance of crit on those guys. So you can see how in a Rebel strike, if this was a Rebel boss strike, and you had legendary mammoths on the front row and these guys on the back row, it would be a pretty effective team together, with some couple other units in the back there just to help out on the back row, and it would be very effective in a boss strike. So they come in handy. They come in handy against raiders pretty nicely. Now, if the Rebel strikes Airstrike is like this, it won't be too bad. Now notice these chemical guys, they do fire damage, and fire damage, these guys get 155 damage. So whatever damage they would do, it basically does 100% of that damage plus 55% more. That's one of the terrible things about almost all animal units is that they're very susceptible to fire. So it has no fire resistance at all. And then if these guys were on the second row, they would do better. It would fan out and be able to hit these guys more of them than just one. But because they're on the front row, now the Juggernaut has a small amount of armor, but once you cut through that armor, you see how quickly it'll take him out. So I just kind of wanted to see how much hit points the guy had left. and there it goes. So, and then I take out this guy in short order. So if that was a boss strike, that would be no problem. And just to kind of show you, against raptors, they do good crits. They do have a high crit rate on animals, but they're terrible against sandworms. Sandworms will destroy these things because, again, the poison damage is fire damage. So sandworms will kill these guys in about 2 shots. It's terrible to watch them too because they get hit once and it does like 160, and the next time it does like 80, and things are almost dead by the end of the DOT damage. It's just it's kind of sad, a little depressing watching. So this is just kind of another kind of showing you what they're good at. You already know what they're not good at. They're not good at tanks. They're not effective against those. Would I recommend this unit against? What would I recommend this unit against? Well, like I said, the rebels they'll be okay against. They'll probably be good against critters, and they'll probably be okay against infected, except for the poison. They're not going to do very good when they get poisoned. So, how many should you get? If you just don't already have the basic things that you need to focus. You need to focus on the basics. You need ETs, you need vets, you need mega tanks. There's so many other units that if you don't have, those are a priority. But if you just have nanos, extra nanos, and you're thinking how many of those should I get, I wouldn't get more than 3. You may only use 1 on a field the whole time, and may want to have a backup just in case it goes to the hospital. But unless they change the unit and do some buffs on it, I just can't recommend you buying too many more of them. So overall, I'm gonna give this guy probably a 4 out of 10. It's useful for hitting a large area in the board, but the fact that it can't go through any blocking units just brings it way down. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope that the boss strike is this upcoming weekend, because I am ready to play the boss strikes. Alright guys, have fun.